Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of my geeky videos. Today we're going to be making beer. The reason I want to make this video today is because I've just got this brand new all-in-one brewery machine. It's called a Brewzilla. You can brew sort of 30 litres of beer at once with it. I've never used it before, so I'm just going to make a video just to remind myself how it all works, and hopefully it'll be useful to someone. So yesterday I prepared the water for the brew. So in the Brewzilla we've got 15 litres of water that's been filtered, and it's been treated to remove the chlorine from the tap water as well. So there's 15 litres in there. And I also have a tea urn, because we need some more hot water later in the brew process. So I've got about 20 odd litres in there, and that's been filtered and treated as well. So the first step is to actually heat up that water so we can do the mash with the grain. So I believe we turn it on. Temperature's set to, it's in manual mode at the moment. Temperature's set to 66 degrees, so that's exactly what we want for the mash. So I think you just press play and it starts. Oh, you've got to turn the heaters on the side. So that'll start heating up now. We should see that temperature going up shortly. I think it'll take about 20 minutes, so cut back in as soon as it's up to temperature. So the beer I'm going to make today is called a Vienna lager. So 5 kilos of malts, lots of different malts: Vienna, Caramel Munich, Pilsnic malt, Melanoidin and Carafa 1. They give it its sort of malty fermentables. And then only lightly hop, this one has Magnum hops for the full boil, and then 10 minutes before the end, Hallertauer Mittelfrüh hops, just to give it some aroma and some nice smells. This is the malt pipe, so this has to go inside the Brewzilla. This is gonna contain all the malts, so let's get that in there as while it's heating up. We need to get it to temperature with that inside, because that'll drop the temperature a bit once you put it in. Take the handle out, and then this needs to go into the bottom, so that's like your grain filter. That drops right down into the bottom. And then your malts go on the top of there. So we started the heater about 10 to 9 in the morning, so let's see how long it takes to heat up. So these are the malts we're going to use today. I've got 5 different types. We've got a Vienna malt, we have a Carafa type 1. You see how dark that is? That's going to add lots of colour to the lager. We have Melanoidin malt, that just affects the flavour and the way it feels in your mouth. Pilsen malt. And finally, Caramel Munich. It's only been on about a quarter of an hour and it's not far off temperature, so it's heating up really quick. Just a few things it's got like 2 different heaters, so you can put them both on when you try to get up to temperature, which is great. And then if you've got a boil going, you can probably turn the big one off and just have the 500 watt heater on. Tap for when you're finished, for getting your water out. And then it's got a pump and a recirculation arm, so I'll show you how that works shortly. It's got like a cam lock fitting on the top there, and that's for when you're mashing, to recirculate the wort. Hit temperature at literally 10 minutes past 9, so that's good to know for future reference. So it took about 20 minutes to heat up. It's overshot by 1 degree, but I can live with that. So we're about to add our malts now. So that's the overflow pipe in the centre. You put this little cap on. It's got like a rubber bung in it. That stops the malts going down the overflow pipe. I'm going to add the malts just a kilo at a time, then they don't clump up. So that's some of the first malt. Give that a stir in. I think the next step, we take this little overflow thing off and we put the top of the malt pipe in. That just sits down on top of the grain bed. Some people say you don't need to use this, but I'm going to try it. Put a little top of the overflow pipe back on. We've got to connect up the recirculation arm, so that just goes into that camlock fit in there. Get it right round, close the clamps. Right, so next step, we're back at temperature. I've let it heat back up to 66. We just turn the pump on and we should start seeing some recirculation. There we go. This is a thing you can't do really without one of these kind of systems. So that keeps your wort circulating through all the mash, helps you get a really good efficiency. You get all the sugars out of the actual mash. And what you've got to do is actually control the timing on it so you don't get an overflow. Put the lid on now, so it's literally just recirculating the wort. So it pulls in the bottom and the pump picks it up, goes up through that recirculation arm and gets sprayed back into the top, and then it seeps through the grains and just keeps going round and round and round. That helps you get all the sugars out of the grains. So that needs about an hour at 66 degrees. Then we're going to up the temperature a little bit for the last 10 minutes. So at the end of the mash now, it's had an hour and a half. You see what colour it's taken on. Looks amazing. That's a good indication of what the final lager colour will be like. So I just lifted the malt pipe up and rotated it, and it sits on those little corners there, and then all of the wort starts draining off the malts into the boiler. And then we've got to start the sparge now, which is pouring more water on the top to rinse off the grains. I've just set the temperature to 98. I'm going to up it to 100 once it's finished draining through the malt. But we might as well get it heating up while we're doing the sparge. So the malt pipe's out and draining now. We've got about 30 litres in there. We're just waiting for it to start to boil, so it's a couple more degrees to go. Once we've got a nice rolling boil, we'll start the timer. It's boiling now, and I'll put the hop basket in, or the hop spider. So it's in with the first hops. Of course, one of the rules about homebrew is you must drink homebrew while you're brewing. That one is so nice. That is a Lef clone. Called it Leffy-ish. Tastes just like it. Absolutely awesome. And I've got this one on Two-Hearted IPA. So that's like an American style IPA. Quite hoppy. Absolutely lovely too. So about 10 minutes from the end of the boil now. I've put the immersion chiller in, rigged it up to the water supply. I couldn't use the nice shiny stainless steel one that came with it because I haven't got the right tap connectors to go on the end of the pipe, so I've had to use my old copper one, but it'll do fine for today. The only trouble I had was I couldn't fit the hop spider in at the same time as the chiller, so the last hops are going to go in one of these bags. So with these last hops, these are for flavour, for aroma rather than bittering, for flavour. So you want to make sure they go right through the wort. So what I've started doing is just weight the bag down, put a big piece of stainless steel in, just an old valve there, difficult to do one-handed. Fasten up the bag, and then in she goes. Next addition is this Protofloc, just a little tablet that goes in 10 minutes before the end. That just helps the wort to clear when you cool it. So you keep the chiller in for about 15 minutes. That makes sure it's really sort of clean, so it'll be boiling away in there with the wort. And what I'm going to do next is actually take it out. You wouldn't normally do that, but the Brewzilla has got this thing called a Whirlpool Arm, so that's going to go on, and then we're going to whirlpool it. Right, I'm going to stop the boil now, turn that off, and then on goes the Whirlpool Arm, which is like that. That goes down to the bottom.
What would you like to know about the sound?
Nothing. Echo, shut up.
I don't know that one.
Shut up. Right, so that's on there, and then what we do now is turn the pump on, and we'll start getting a little whirlpool going. So I've just drawn off a bit of the wort just to cool it down so I can make the yeast starter. Look how clear that looks. That's amazing. So that Whirlpool Arm definitely makes a difference. It's getting like all the sediment sort of coned up in the centre of the boiler. That makes really clear wort. That's going to look awesome. I've just run off a sample of the wort there into a jug. I'm going to cool it down, get it down to sort of about 30 degrees, and then I'm going to put the yeast in. I'm using this, oh God, can't remember how you pronounce it, Kveik ale yeast. And everyone's raving about this stuff at the minute. It's supposed to like eat through the sugars in like 2 or 3 days. It's just like a really angry yeast. So it's just, your fermentation just takes no time. So this has been in the fridge. I'm just warming that up by literally keeping it in my pocket. And then let this get down to about 30 degrees. Then the yeast is going in there for half an hour. Then it's going in the wort. Right, so I've cooled that down. It's sitting just over 30 degrees. Instructions on the packet say, yeah, 30 to 35. Put the yeast in, wait 15 minutes, let it sit 5 minutes. So that's the next step. So it's just still on the cooling phase. It's got outside water running through the coil, straining into that bucket. We're at 74 degrees. Okay, so all the chilling's done. We're now draining the wort into the fermenter, using one of those wine aerators to mix lots of air with it. That helps the yeast get going. My yeast, that's been soaking for about half an hour now. Give it a bit of a stir. Definitely alive, you can tell it's bubbling, so you know that's good yeast. So So the original gravity looks like it's about 10, let's see on there, about 1040, 1042. That's pretty good. There is the end result. We've ended up with about 24.5 litres. So that's not bad. It's all aerated, lovely. That's going to go in the fermentation chamber now. So I'll move to the garage now and set the fermentation fridge at 30 degrees, so that's got a bit of warming up to do. Inside here we've got our wort. At the back, maybe you can see it, the back there's a greenhouse heater that warms it up. So this needs to be at about 30 degrees now, so I'm just going to leave that for a few days. I've put spunding valve on, so basically what will happen is the pressure will build up in the vessel as the yeast starts doing its stuff. When it hits about 10 psi, it'll start venting out of there. And that just makes it ferment really quickly. So with this yeast and this temperature and doing it under pressure, this beer could be ready to drink in a week, which is pretty awesome. So let's keep posted.